Our players have been tremendous recruiters, and this is a really good day for Oklahoma State University and Oklahoma State football. We've addressed needs more so in this class than any class since I've been the head coach here. You guys are familiar with all the names and their positions. Obviously, there's a lot more out there in recruiting than there ever has been before. We had a need for offensive linemen. We had 7 players that are already on our team right now that are enrolled in school. You guys know about them, so I won't go in great detail. I think there's been considerable coverage and information out there on those players. But with today, I'll give you a quick rundown just here alphabetically with Taj Bakari's a 300-pounder from Dallas, a defensive tackle. One area that we've really tried to bring into our program over the last few years is some big guys, and it's not been easy here, so we were really pleased with this class, and Taj falls in that category. Bryce Ballas is a safety, obviously from the Dallas area. He's got great speed, hoping that in track this year that he can break 10.5. There's word that we think he may be able to get under 10.5 in the 100 meters, so we're really excited about him. Lewis Brown, defensive end from Burton, Texas. Really a tall and rangy guy. At one time was committed to another school and changed his mind, and looking forward to him developing his body and giving us some height and some speed on the edge. Jordan Burton's already in school here, an outside backer, safety, star player from Longview and Kilgore. Jeff Carr, the running back from Temple, Texas, we picked up a few days ago. Could be the sleeper of the class. People there at Temple say great things about him, and we've had a number of backs here during my time as an assistant coach and a head coach that are his size that have been terrific players here. We're really excited about Jeff. Chris Carson is the junior college back from Butler, originally from outside of the Atlanta area, that should be able to show up on campus and give us some maturity, some experience, and some explosive running right from the start. So we're really excited about Chris. Darian Daniels, another 300-pound defensive tackle from the Dallas area. Is a guy that could very well be ready to compete next year. We'll just have to see how things go. Sicarius Green, a safety from the Dallas area. And I'm including all those Dallas Metroplex, all in one Dallas-Fort Worth area, so I'm not trying to slide any certain particular area of Dallas, but for us it's all in-state. Recruiting, a safety, already 190 pounds, looking forward to him getting here. Most of these skill players, the safeties, the corners, the running backs, those guys, we're expecting them to compete as freshmen like we always have here at Oklahoma State. Kevin Henry, an outside backer for us from Baton Rouge, really a physical football player, will strike you, bring a lot of intensity to our team and can run. Michael Hunter's a cornerback that's been at Indiana, started considerable, over 20 games for Indiana. He falls in the group of young men that we brought in that have graduated from college and have come in to play in their senior year, their last year of eligibility at our place. And so we're really excited about Michael. Matt Kellerman's an offensive tackle from Butler that's already on campus right now. You guys know about him. Marcus Keys, an offensive lineman from Port Allen, down there in the Baton Rouge area. Marcus is a 6'5". He weighed 274 pounds last night. Played both ways. Started, I believe, 44 games straight in high school. Played offensive and defensive line. We're really excited about Marcus and what he brings to the table. John Kolar, you guys know about Kolar. He may be one of the biggest impact players that we have in this class, but because he's already on campus, people really haven't talked about him much, but we're really excited about John and what he brings to our offense. John can run. We're looking forward to him developing into the style of quarterback that we use here, and he's done very well up to this point. So we're looking forward to watching John develop over the next couple years. Mote is another 300-pound defensive tackle. Came in here from Tyler Junior College from the Euless area. You guys are aware of him. I've seen the coverage on Mote. Todd Mays is already here as an athlete, quarterback, running back, receiver from East Mississippi, Olive Branch area. Todd's, I know you guys know about Todd. I've seen the coverage on him. Jalen McCleskey is a wide receiver. He's got great speed from the Louisiana area, Covington. A lot like size-wise like what Josh Stewart is. Hoping that he has the same side-to-side and make you miss movement that Josh has, but much faster straight away. He can really roll. So we're excited about him coming in here, and we hope that he can take the top off of it for the defense. Kenneth Magruder, a safety from Leaf, Texas. Big guy, you know, he's already 6'1". It says 190, but I think he's over 200 pounds now. He's going to be a 220-pound safety before we know it. Very athletic and should bring a lot to our defense. Will really tackle. Brandon Pertiles, the offensive lineman that came from Arizona. He's already here. You guys know about him. Victor Salako is the offensive lineman that was at UAB, played tackle for them. He's already here doing very well. Vimo Sakona is an offensive guard. We got him down at 6'4", 285. He's probably more 295. Really powerful. Low to the ground. He's got good feet. I'm excited about bringing him in our program and developing. Hopefully someday he'll be a 320-pound guard. From the Los Angeles area, we have some connections with guys on our staff, and so we were able to get him and looking forward to getting him in here this summer. Johnny Wilson, an offensive guard from West Texas, the Midland area. He's 6'3". It says 295. He was 307 last week. He's going to be another 320-pound guard. Great family. We've had a lot of success out in that part of Texas over the last few years with players, so we're excited about getting him in. Overall, with the class, as you can see, we're trying to eventually be 315, 320, 325 up front in the offensive line. And I'm very excited about the 300-pound defensive lineman. We've got another considerable number of ends that are already in our program. We brought one in being Lewis Brown. So we've really made some strides up front. We addressed the needs that we feel like can help us function and be a really good football team next year. Gave us some depth at the running back position, picked up a young quarterback that we'll get in the program, and we'll bring him along just like we do the others. So I'm really excited, as you can tell, with the way the season finished for us and rolled right into recruiting. We just were able to get in some homes and had a real impact on young people. And I know I said it before, but I can't thank the people that have helped us, airline travel, our administration, academics, and mainly our players. As I said, they did a terrific job. So we're really excited. Today's a day for them to celebrate. Coaches now, we finished in recruiting. We're done for the most part, and coaches are off for a few days. Players are at it. They're working hard in the weight room, and most important time of the year is from now until August 1. That's when they really develop and set the tone and the tempo for who they're going to be and who we're going to be as a football team. We have 2 staff positions. When I get back in town, I'm going to be gone for a few days. I'll go to work on the staff positions. There won't be any announcements before then, so there's really no reason for any of you guys to press the issue. You guys can take a break, tell your editors or bosses that you want a few days off. But there won't be anything come out prior to the middle of next week, so there's not any information out there. Obviously, I'm aware that we have openings, and we'll fill those and address those. And I really don't have any information to give, or I would. I know that you may have questions, but it's really just me making things up to make us all feel good. So there's not any information out there. Want guys to take a few days off. Everybody's worked considerably hard and come back. And when we get back next week, we'll be less than 5 weeks away to the start of spring practice. So it seems like we just finished up with the guys playing their tail off in the bowl and big Castleman check engine light going off, running down the sideline, and before you know it, we'll be 5 weeks into spring football.
Did you feel like to some extent, your recruiting season kind of was like your football season? I mean, you had a real strong finish there with Carr, Daniels, Carson. And how did you feel after the Carson visit all along? Did you feel like you had a good shot at him, or was it a real late flip for him?
It was late, Bill. Your first question was, I felt like our recruiting ended just like the season. the attitude, the feel of the people in this community, and we're so strong in the south into the Texas area and Dallas-Fort Worth, and they're so familiar with what we do, and it helped us. There's always a couple players that you lose. That's just part of it, and we always wish those players the best, but we picked up a couple late, and we're really excited about it. I'll be honest with you. The running back, Jeff Carr from Temple, Texas, I'm as excited as I've ever been about a running back. He could very well come in here, and he stays healthy from what we hear about him and his temperament. And in a couple years, everybody is going to want to know where he was and why a lot of people didn't recruit him. And the same thing with some linemen and other positions, and it rolled right into it. But with Carson, you don't really know. We felt good. I thought that Jamal Singleton did a great job in staying with him. He's mature. He's not quite 21 years old, and so he understands a little more than high school players do, and I think he saw the opportunity here for him better to pursue his degree, and he has a goal someday of playing in the NFL, and I think he felt like at Oklahoma State that he could make that happen quicker than at another school.
You, as much as any coach, over the last 3 years, you've had to deal with injuries at the quarterback position. And so Kolar is, to me, like the least talked about four-star quarterback I've ever seen. But that would underscore the value of having this guy in the class is how you've had to, you've had a lot of issues at the quarterback position.
Well, two things. The first thing is he committed early. He has a great family. They stayed loyal all the way through, and so he didn't get a lot of publicity. And sometimes in recruiting, that's what we see. Players commit, and then they get 6 weeks, 8 weeks out. They open up their recruiting, in my opinion, because it's not that fun anymore, and they're not talking about him. Kolar's been loyal from day one, and so he didn't get as much attention. But you're talking about a young man that's 6'4", very intelligent, can run under 4'6". And he needs to develop. He's going to grow in 12, 15, 20 pounds over the next 18 months. He's doing great in school here. And we have to bring those guys along. I don't think there's any question. You'd love for him to redshirt and develop and mature and grow and be 220 pounds. But we have to expedite the process with these young men and get them ready to play because, things happen. And really, what you're saying is true. It's not just us. It's a lot of teams in this league are going through that. So try to get him as much information as possible. And the quarterback position, Bill, you know this, it's up to them. They've got to come in 45 minutes a day and study on their own. We don't have enough hours in a day to teach them to get ready to play at this level. If it's important to him, which he's shown that it is, he'll be there and he'll get prepared. If they just want to be average, then they just kind of hang out and wait for us to coach them.
Mike, people kind of sleeping on Carr. What point did he kind of land on your guys' radar?
A month ago, and these days all run together for me. I was more involved with this class of recruits than I have been in a number of years for a variety of reasons, and so the days, the weeks, and the names all run together to me. But when we lost another one like a month ago or something, and from that point on, we knew that we needed to bring a player in here that could provide and give us some depth and some carries. It takes 2 or 3 backs to play in this league. And so it became very important for us to push the issue. So you go look at a variety of guys, but most of them are already going somewhere else. So it's hard. And you just try to take one that fits our system and don't reach for one, because then if you reach, it's not fair to us and not fair to them, the young man, because you don't want to bring a player in here that doesn't really fit what we need, because then he's sitting here looking at you and it's not a good experience for the university, the team, or the player. So about a month ago, we started pursuing, and it was a long, tough battle, but it worked out for us, and we're excited about getting him here.
So did you guys never get to see him play since the season was over by then for him, or was it all highlights that you kind of had to base him off of?
Well, all the games are on. Everybody has access. We watch all the games. Certainly highlights, but we study game tape. I believe in game tape more so than highlights. You can take a season of 12 games, and on offense, if there's 80 plays, you're talking about almost 1,000 football plays. Well, out of 1,000 football plays, you can make a 30-play highlight on me, and everybody thinks it's good. So, we feel like we have to study game tape to make sure that we're not making a mistake for the young man and for us.
Since you You had such a positive history with small backs, though, Savage and Hunter. Is that, so apparently that he's a smaller back. I've seen 5'7".
You talking about Jeff?
I'm talking about Carr, yeah. I mean, I've seen all 5'7" to 5'9", but that's. he's
You
a
know, it's
smaller guy.
interesting. You look back at guys that have had success and you say, well, all these guys were 5'8" or 5'9". But when I watched him on tape, they could have told me he was 5'5", and I would have been okay with it. After we talked to the coach and found out a lot about him, what the people say about him in the community.
And the fact that he was as productive as he was in the Class 5A district.
We had over 225 carries, give or take a few, 2 years in a row, in a league where those guys take hits and they're playing against people that are fast and can run and tackle.
Mike, with the class being complete here, just with one wide receiver, does that say a lot about the depth and what you like coming back on the team?
Well, we really have 10 guys coming back that are experienced for the most part, and so it's just not an area where we need to address that position. And so we needed some impact on the offensive line, we needed some depth, we needed some big guys on defense, and we needed some safeties. So we try to address those issues. We should be balanced out, Kyle, in maybe one more recruiting season, because we have numbers across the board we're trying to balance out, but they get thrown off at times. Like we got set way back in the offensive line. We had to play catch up. After next year's class, we should take 4 high school linemen in next year's class, and that should balance it out to where we're not reaching for guys and trying to make it work, because that's not a consistent way, in my opinion, of developing long-term consistency in your program.
I know you said you didn't want to talk about the openings, but with them coming so late in the recruiting process, how did it kind of influence, because I know you lost an offensive lineman commitment, how did it kind of affect, how did you have to readjust things?
It's interesting, we'll never know. You would like to think that you can get information that really is accurate on why young people jump in at the last second or go somewhere else. And then you find out a year later that somebody says it was for a reason completely different than what they said when it happened. So I wish I could give you an accurate answer there. Could it have had an impact? Sure it could. And then at times maybe it didn't. So you would like to be as consistent and have your group intact all the way through. That's not the way it works in our profession anymore. And so ultimately for us, this is a great class, and I'm happy with the way it turned out.
So you mentioned addressing needs. Obviously, your most pronounced needs seem to be improving your run game and pass protection. And so I just wonder, do you have a better feel yet for whether Kellerman and Pertile can really contend for starting jobs right away, or are they depth guys? Or do you have a feel for that yet?
Well, what I meant was that we needed some maturity on the offensive lines, guys that could come in and get into that 2 deep as soon as you start spring ball. That allows them from a number standpoint. You've watched us practice. If you're in the 2 deep when you show up at our place, you're going to get just as many reps as the guy starting. So you have an opportunity to win the job. We addressed that issue. And then we needed some maturity at the running back spot because we've had some bad luck over the last 2 years at the running back spot. So we had a drop-off from experience. And when you have that void from experience, you could be forced to play a young guy that may not be ready mentally or physically. So we address those issues. And with Kellerman and Victor and Pertile, we won't know until we're in April and they go through spring ball. I mean, they're big guys. They're Victor's 341 pounds, and Kellerman is 291, and Pertile is 308. So they're going to be big enough and strong enough, much less after Rob gets them for 5 more months. But it's just a matter of how they come along in spring ball. But the best answer I can give you is the good news is they can jump right into that 2 deep. And spring ball will be very physical for us, and we will run the football, and we will protect. We'll improve in those 2 areas. So somebody's going to get a turned ankle, somebody's going to get a shoulder. That's going to happen in this spring. So those other guys are going to rotate through. We have 17 linemen that should compete with us, for us in the spring, maybe 18. And all those guys are going to get a lot of reps, and when practice is over, they're going to be tired.
But you said many times about how you don't never know what kind of results you're gonna get in strength and conditioning from junior college guys. I mean, so like Kellerman and Fertile are here now. How have they responded to that?
Well, they're doing well, and that's why I brought up the weight. You know, Victor's 341, Kellerman is 290 something, and Pertile's already 308. So we're not starting with 270 pounders. We're starting with 300 plus. So what that means is after Coach Glass balances them out, develops them, they cut some fat, they'll be faster, and they're all going to float right around that 310 to 320 area. And Victor's probably going to play at 340.
Your first class here as the head guy was ranked like 60th in the country. And wound up being maybe the most deepest class you ever had. You got 300 stars from about 8 guys. And this looks like this will end your streak of 5 straight top 25 classes, but I presume you're not very worried about that.
You know, I never have been. I used to put a lot of stock in that. We've had so many players that come in here and maybe rated really high, and the mental makeup, the physical makeup, they're just not into it. And then we get some players that come in here that aren't, that football is really important to them. They have a burning desire. They understand how to compete. And for us, it's just about getting them in the program, letting them run the cycle, and letting Coach Glass take over, and it makes them much better players. And some of those rankings, and I really don't know how all those points are based now. We took a number of 2-year players, and so that affects it a little bit. But either way, you know, as I said from the start, that this could be the most important class we've ever signed to address current issues and things that will help us to where we can function in spring ball the way that we need to practice and prepare to get ready for the fall.
What's the process going to be like to find the best place on the field for Todd Mays, the guy, a versatile player, or do you have like in your mind a place you think he'd be most effective?
Well, he'll get a lot of carries and a lot of work at running back, and then from that point we'll play him at slot, and then he'll play quarterback.
Coach, can you talk about Darian Daniels and what has stood out to you on film when you've watched him?
Well, he's a 300-pounder. He's physical. He's got quick feet. But more than anything, he's a great student, a great person, comes from a really good home life. He's squared away, yes sir, no sir, and just a pleasant individual to be around. And he's going to come in ready-made. He's 300 plus. My guess is going through June and July, time August rolls around, he's going to float around 315. He's going to be strong. He's already strong for a young man. He's only 17 years old, so he's going to get really big and strong.
Mike, from a broad perspective, kind of over your past 10 years, do you feel like this recruiting cycle had the highest number of kids flipping on their verbal commitments?
We went through a time in my first 4 or 5 years here where it was really common, and then the last 3 or 4 years you don't see it much, and this year people are back to flipping. There was a lot of guys changing their mind and changing schools, and I think that's the reason for that is because of the internet and the information that's out there, and instant messaging and Twitter and direct messaging and all that. There's so much out there now, and there's information, and I think the fans play a role in that because they can contact the recruits, and I think that they're a huge impact in recruiting now, whether we as coaches like to think it or like to believe that. I think that these fans who are contacting these players can affect the way they think. And as I had mentioned earlier, you never know why the kids do what they do. But I'm convinced in some of the ones that we were involved with this year that they were affected by people who were contacting them on their Twitter account.
Would you be in favor of having an early optional signing period to maybe
Sure.
cut out some of that?
Sure. I've said for years that we should sign July 1. These guys that want to commit in the spring, if they want to sign them up July 1. Then we need to sign again in December, and then we can sign in February, and that will eliminate a lot of this, and it'll also save money. Because the ones that are already signed, you don't have to get in a car, you don't have to get in an airplane, you don't have to spend hotel, per diem, all the things that could help the budget of the athletic departments. I'd be all for it. But the Power 5 conferences that make those decisions have never come to an agreement. It'd be like all of us in here sitting and making a decision on a political issue. Well, we'd sit here all day until after dinner, and we'd leave and nothing got accomplished because we all think differently. That's what's happened with early signing period.
You signed guys from 8 states. You know, I mean, I'm counting like Partal's a Florida guy. I mean, he played junior college in Arizona.
Right.
But you also, in 11 years now, you've signed 157 high school players from Texas.
Right.
Estimate for me the percentage of the resources you have for recruiting that you commit to Texas. Is it 80%?
No, it's 100. We have 9 coaches in Texas, and we have 7 of them that when you catch the, you go out to where Johnny Wilson is, and you circle down under the San Antonio area, and you run across up north under Houston and up north of Victoria, and you circle in that East Texas and come around. We have 7 coaches just in that area. And then we have 2 other guys that spot it. But when you talk about a lot of states, if you go down this list, for the most part, you're talking about Texas, Atlanta, but he's a junior college player. Your Texas, Louisiana. We've had a little success over there. You have Michael Hunter, who's a college player, and then you have Kellerman, who's a junior college player. You have Louisiana, you have Oklahoma, Motes, Texas, Todd Mays is junior college, McCleskey's Louisiana, Texas, Pertile's junior college, Victor obviously is a UAB, and then Sakona, and then Johnny Wilson's Texas. So for the most part, it's Oklahoma, Texas, but then if you get out into the junior college, you're gonna go out a little bit more than what you normally do. But for us, we want to recruit Oklahoma, we want to recruit Texas, and we catch the Wichita area, and then if there's somebody in Arkansas that's interested in us, then we'll contact them. But we will sign 17 players next year, and maybe 1 or 2 will be junior college. All the rest of them will be high school players that'll be right in this region.
But specific to the upcoming season, are you as excited about Jeff Carr as you are Chris Carson? Just what you might be able to get out of him immediately?
Yes, but I'm also not going to overstate that, he's 173 pounds and Chris Carson's 212 pounds. Chris is 20 years old and Jeff is 18. So I'm also a realist to know that one of them is physically ready to play and take the pounding that you take in this league. The other one, not for sure yet, but I'm very excited about what he brings to the table. On the flip side of that is you say, okay, 2 full years from now, and not even really that, really 30 months from now, what's his body going to look like? Because that's what Chris Carson is coming in. He's 30 months ahead of where he is. 24 months.
By the 8th practice in 07, Kendall was going to play for you. I don't know.
Well, not till he got here.
Right.
Right. It can happen, sure.
Everybody good?
Good. All right, thank you.
Quick reminder, we got Josh Holliday coming up next, along with a couple of players who will be available next door. And also on the Michael Hunter thing, the Indiana graduate, that's a financial aid agreement. It's binding to the school, not necessarily to him.